when it comes to trying to achieve a natural sound in American English, there are two core concepts that I see people who have learned English having some issue with over and over and over again. And the result is an accent that just doesn't sound very natural. They both revolve a little bit around pitch. It's about how pitch moves in thought groups and how pitch is used for stress. If you don't know what a thought group is a small group of words that you group together before your next group of words when you talk. Every language uses thought groups. We do not talk one word at a time. But it's really important in American English because there's a central concept. If you change a thought group in American English, you want to change the pitch level a little bit right after. Okay. The other thing that we need pitch for, by the way, if you don't know what pitch is, pitch, you can think of like a piano. On the left, you have the low pitches. On the right, you have the high pitches and everything in between. Okay. What we know is that when we stress a word in a thought group, there's always going to be one stressed word. We got to go a little higher in pitch. But there's some little things that we can do to make that movement higher sound more natural because what's happening is some people are overstressing. We're going to talk about those two key issues. Good morning, guys. Good evening. Good afternoon. Welcome to your American English Pronunciation Review Show, the Schwa Mill. We are here Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, right around 7 a.m. New York, to give you in your pronunciation files some time for review. To guide you in this process, there's me. Hello, my name is Geoff. It rhymes with breath. That's one of the 4 keys to a natural sound in American English, including placement, pitch, breath, trying to weaken your consonant sounds in order to strengthen your vowel sounds. And if you have interest in sending us a pronunciation file for review, you can see in the video description a link to a Telegram group that's free where people send their audio files and I look at them in episodes like this. All right, without further ado, let's take a listen to 2 audio files that were sent to us and address how they are using stress and pitch. Here's our first file. I'll play this twice.
Do you have this in a bigger size?
I'll play it one more time.
Do you have this in a bigger size?
Okay. So when I'm listening to this, by the way, thank you for sending this. Thanks to everyone for sending us the files. It is hard to do a pronunciation review show if there are no files to review. So thank you guys for doing that. My big comment here when I'm listening to this.
Do you have this in a bigger size?
So I'm hearing like, do you have this in a bigger size? So arguably 2 thought groups. Do you have this in a bigger size?
Do you have this in a bigger size?
So let's go back to one of those concepts I mentioned at the beginning of the stream. When you change a thought group, you want to change the pitch. But one of the things that I think we're seeing here is that as we transition from that first thought group, do you have this? The next thought group stays right around the same level.
Do you have this in a bigger size?
One way you can track this for yourself in your own speech, see what the pitch is where your first thought group ends. So his last word is this. Do you have this? Do you have this? And then see what the pitch is for the next thought group.
Do you have this in a bigger size?
The next word after this is in. And you want to make sure that this and in general have a noticeable shift in pitch.
Do you have this in a bigger size?
I feel like I'm hearing have this in the pitch is maybe there's a little bit of movement, but not a lot, right? So we're kind of at the same level. What happens if we drop lower on in? So instead of saying, do you have this in a bigger, like, do you have this in a bigger, do you have this in a bigger? Do you see that now? That's a noticeable difference. Compare. Do you have this in a bigger? Do you have this in a bigger? Do you hear the shift? Okay. So this is the key thing. When we start a new thought group, we have to change the pitch level. If you're able to do that, that's going to help a lot in achieving a more natural sound. That's my biggest suggestion for this audio file.
Do you have this in a bigger size?
Okay. There's some little placement things to work on for vowel sounds as well, like the short I sound. The short I sound is like an N in bigger. Okay, it sounds like in American English. A lot of people confuse it with like an e sound, so we want to be mindful of that. So it's not ina, it's not bigger, it's anna, it's bigger. Okay, so lowering the placement, getting more air through. Okay, it's not an e sound. That would be my additional thing there. One of the reasons this could be happening for a lot of things. It could be that we're just mispronouncing the short I sound. It could be that some of the consonants around it are modifying our vowel. It's like the N sound in N when you say that N, try to keep your placement down, or that B sound in big. These are consonants that can cause your placement to rise. So you got to be careful of that. Okay, so watch out to make sure your consonant sounds are not impacting your vowels. Thank you so much for sending us our first file for today. Greatly appreciated. Hope that feedback is helpful for you. Tom's hanging out with us. Are you hanging out with us? Be sure to say hey if you're here. Good to see you, Tom. I have one more file. Before we get to that, I do just want to highlight. You can see our name over here at fluentamerican.com/institute. What is the Institute? The Institute is a new program that you can find at Fluent American, where one of the things you may notice on the channel and just YouTube in general is there's like thousands and millions of videos on pronunciation, thousands just on my channel. And it's all great information, but it's like, well, how do you know what to do? Because it's a little overwhelming. So the Fluent American Institute takes videos from my channels and it organizes them. It gives you, for instance, like an hour of videos that are focused on stress, the key concepts for stress, an hour of videos focused on vowel sounds, an hour of videos focused on key consonant sounds, an hour of videos focused on sentence structures and things like that. So that's the first thing that the Institute has, modules just to kind of guide your learning with the most essential information. In addition to that, there's weekly programming. For instance, starting January 19th, that Monday, we have a conversation club that meets at 6:30 p.m. New York. That is only open to Institute members. A maximum of 5 members can appear on screen. So if that sounds like something you're trying to do, you're trying to get some practice with a native speaker. I am not the facilitator. It's a facilitator named McCall. You can find more information about her at fluentamerican.com/institute. But if you're trying to get some conversation practice in, we have that. We're also going to be adding a second conversation club that's going to meet on Saturdays at noon. That'll be in February starting. So Institute members get the video modules to guide their learning. They get the conversation club. And then lastly, what they get is they get a weekly mastermind. So as you practice concepts from the video modules and maybe talk a little bit in your conversation clubs, then during the weekly mastermind, we talk about one aspect of pronunciation together. We also take any questions and we get to kind of track your progress a bit. So if you're trying to get some pronunciation guidance for your accent, get some speaking practice in, so that way you can sound more natural, speaking with people who don't know you, who have never heard you before. You want to make sure native speakers can understand you. This is your opportunity to do that. And then you get the mastermind to practice all those concepts deeper. If that sounds like something you are interested in, you can go to fluentamerican.com/institute for more information and to join. All right. Thank you for allowing me to say that. Let's finish up with our final clip for today.
The daughter is cooking another healthy dinner at home, chopping veggies like she's on a timer.
Okay, I'm going to play that one more time.
The daughter is cooking another healthy dinner at home, chopping veggies like she's on a timer.
Okay. My big comment for this pronunciation file is the weight of the stressed words. Okay. One of the things that you can hear happening with regards to pitch.
The daughter is cooking another healthy dinner at home, chopping veggies like she's on a timer.
One of the things you can hear is that there's somewhat of a choppy feel to this, like the da 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 da. Like there's a lot of that sort of movement happening. And one of the things I tell my students is American English. When you're speaking in American English, you want hills, not mountains. And one of the things that's happening is we're getting a lot of mountains. We're getting these real big jumps in pitch. Let's talk about some concepts in relation to thought groups. When you have a thought group, there's going to be one word that receives stress. That stressed word is going to move up in pitch. Hello to Gantrim hanging out with us. It's going to go up in pitch. on your stress word, the stress syllable of your stress word. Like if you say I eat cake, eat cake. See that cake is higher in pitch than eat. Okay, so you just need to go up in pitch a little bit compared to your previous syllable. So that's the first key concept with stress. Another concept that's key with stress is very often right before that stressed syllable, you want to go down in pitch. I eat cake. You see how I drop on eat? I eat cake. I eat cake. Instead of saying I eat cake, I eat cake. Do you see that when I do that, it keeps everything kind of flat? It's okay, but it can be a little tricky for people to understand because it's a little bit too flat pitch wise. I eat cake versus I eat cake. The second one has more contrast. There's a wider pitch range. So two things again with stress. When you stress a syllable, go up in pitch. Before the stress syllable, go down in pitch. Now, a third concept. When you stress, don't go crazy high in pitch. You just need to go a little bit higher than the syllable before the stress syllable. Just a little higher. Don't go too high in most situations.
The daughter is cooking at.
So the first word I think is the, maybe it's like the daughter. There's a couple words here, I'll be honest, that were a little bit tricky for me to understand. But the core concept I want to really focus on is just this movement with pitch. Okay. So instead of saying something like the da, it could just be like the daughter, the da, the daughter. So again, we don't have to have such a crazy high movement and pitch there.
The daughter is cooking at her healthy dinner.
Okay. And then is cooking at her or something like that. So let's imagine those are the words. My apologies if I'm misunderstanding. Like cooking at her versus like cooking at her. It's like I said, the daughter is cooking at her versus the daughter is cooking at her. So notice that we don't have to have such crazy jumps in pitch. It's going to help smooth it out. Again, we want hills, not mountains.
The daughter is cooking at her healthy dinner at home, chopping veggies like she's on a timer.
Okay. So that's the real core concept here. Unfortunately, I do have to run for time, but we may return to this file too because there's some other things happening here that I think would be helpful for people. Specifically, our vowels are getting really condensed. The consonant sounds are taking over and compressing our vowels, so we're not really given a lot of opportunities to extend breath. In addition to that, um, the consonant cells themselves are pretty strong. And some of the music, some of the patterns that we're seeing here are less natural. But for now, I will say just hang on. We'll come back to this file next week and talk more about some of the pronunciation things that are happening to help us achieve an even more natural sound in American English. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Look, there's a lot of pronunciation resources out there, so the fact you spent some time out of your day here is appreciated. I will see you all later. I hope you have a good day, have a good night, and a good afternoon and weekend. Bye.